Have you ever thought about exploring the wilderness? If yes, think again, because you could end up like Brigitta Fredenhagen. Don't make the same mistake she did, and be aware of the bear. Before we get into this incredible event, I kindly ask you to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you become a member of the Fierce Zone family. Thank you in advance. Brigitta happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Brigitta Fredenhagen, a resident of Switzerland, was on a solo trip in the United States when this fatal incident occurred. What happened to her was not an isolated incident, but that does not nearly justify the gravity of the same. She was merely 25 years old and had her entire life ahead of her. But it all came crashing down on the 25th of July 1984. When she set out on her journey, she could never have predicted that she would meet this fate. Dying due to a bear attack is the least of one's concerns, but it shouldn't be so when you're going camping in North America. Brigitta was camping in Yellowstone National Park when the incident occurred. She did not know that the night of the 25th would be her last night. Nobody saw it coming, and it could have been anyone, but it was her. While she was sleeping peacefully in her tent, the night turned not so peaceful. Out of the blue, a grizzly bear invaded her tent, and she was brutally dragged out of it, and subsequently savagely killed. However, the shocking thing about this incident is that she was the first person to be killed by a bear inside the park in 12 years. And sadly enough, the rangers were unable to trace the murderer, that is, the bear who committed this crime. However, the question that arises here is, what would the rangers have done even if they had caught the animal? It's not like the other animals would have learned a lesson from that and maintained their distance from humans. Animals and humans are different, and the tactics or punishments that might work on humans are unlikely to work on bears. So what good would it have done to catch the bear, as the other bears would still remain free? I cannot wrap my head around this, can you? And if you can, do share your thoughts with the rest of us here by commenting the same below. Anyway, now that we know what occurred on the night of the 25th of July, one question that still remains unanswered is, what led to this? Why did the bear attack Brigitta? This question is extremely troubling considering the fact that grizzly bears are not like other animals. They have a tendency to mind their own business, unlike us humans. They do not attack on all occasions and only do so when certain circumstances arise. To our surprise, they were actually pretty shy in nature. Weird, right? I thought that was just in front of our crush. Anyway, because they are shy, they tend to avoid human contact generally, except for when they feel threatened or provoked. However, if we take this shy nature of theirs into consideration, the question that arises then is, what did a sleeping Brigitta Fredenhagen do that led to such a turn of events? Did she do something before she went asleep that attracted a grizzly bear's attention? Or did the bear change its character and decide to attack? Or better yet, was the bear simply in search of prey, and Brigitta just happened to be there? It is not the general tendency of grizzly bears to kill humans in pursuit of food. However, they may attack humans in search of food, particularly if they become accustomed to human food sources such as garbage or improperly stored food. So, one theory that might explain the death of Brigitta Fredenhagen is that it is possible that she failed to properly dispose of the leftovers of her food for the day or improperly disposed of her garbage, which in turn attracted the bear to her tent. Although these are mere conjectures, and there's no possible explanation available to explain the turn of events at night, and I, for one, cannot possibly point towards anything specific that might have led to this. But that should not stop you from finding an explanation. So, tell me what you think. What is your theory to explain Brigitta's death? Comment your theory, and let's see who has the best theory out of all of us to explain the turn of events of the night. In the end, if there's one thing that we have learned from this incident, it is to avoid traveling and camping close to areas inhabited by bears. However, if you do decide to do so, it's imperative to take adequate and proper measures for your own sake. While the incidents of bear attacks have reduced, you never know what might happen, so it's better to stay safe than sorry. However, that's enough about Brigitta now, and what is in the past is in the past. But how do you ensure that you're not the next Brigitta? And if you don't know, keep watching this video. But before we move on to discuss how to avoid the same fate that Brigitta met, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Thank you in advance. Moving on to the measures that you should take to safeguard your life. Grizzly bears are the pit bull of bears. They aren't your friendly Labradors who are unlikely to harm you. Their biology screams of danger. But do you know how to tell if a bear is a grizzly so you can take extra care? If not, don't worry, because we're here to make things easier for you. Grizzly bears are also known as brown bears, so the simplest way to identify a grizzly bear is to first look for brown fur. However, hold your horses before you start identifying every other brown bear as a grizzly bear. The bear that you have encountered would most likely not be a grizzly bear unless you were in North America. Ideally, the Americans are at a greater risk of being attacked by a grizzly bear. This is due to the fact that grizzly bears are predominantly found in North America, including parts of Canada and the United States. So, the Americans need to beware of their lives, as there might be a bear waiting for them to make the wrong move and come after them. Secondly, once you have a brown bear in front of you, its likelihood of being a grizzly bear is dependent upon its size, type of fur, and muscles. But don't worry, I know it sounds confusing. I mean, how can one even distinguish between different types of furs? So, you ideally need to look at the size of the bear, as grizzly bears are comparatively larger in size than normal bears and also consist of a distinctive hump of muscle on their shoulders. Okay, that's enough about bears. Knowing an encyclopedia's worth of knowledge is not going to save your life. It's important to know what to do when you're faced with a grizzly bear. Firstly, when you encounter a grizzly bear, your first course of action is to keep your fight and flight mode in control, and slowly and calmly back away from the bear. Regardless of how heroic it might seem in the moment, do not make eye contact with the bear because it won't lead to a happy ending if you do. Further, never go unprepared into uncharted territory. If you're going into a bear's home, the forest, be prepared to run into one. In case you're unable to back off in time and the bear charges towards you, pull out your bear spray and use it to get to a secure place. This is the time when your flight mode needs to get activated. Going into fight mode in front of a bear, let alone a grizzly bear, is pure madness. Let's assume that the bear gives you no time to pull out your bear spray, or worse, you're not carrying one. In such a situation, it's either do or die. You either do something or you die. However, here's the twist. What if I told you that dying is exactly what you need to do in order to save your life? If the bear comes in contact with you and you're unable to protect your head or neck, the last available option to you is to play dead. Ironic, isn't it? However, there's a technique to do this too. To convince the bear that you are no longer alive, you need to play dead in a specific manner. First, you have to lie on your stomach with your legs spread apart and your hands behind your neck. It's important that you do not move, otherwise it can make things a hell of a lot worse. Make sure you stay on the ground like your life depends on it. Literally. In no situation should you get excited at the prospect of successfully fooling the bear and getting up while the bear hasn't left. You are not supposed to move until you're sure that the bear has certainly left. That's enough about the horrifying incident and bears for today. In the end, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I would like to ask you, if you haven't already done so, to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss the next video. Thanks in advance.